one day, I get a phone call from the owner of the Rainbow Gallery. Ken, is it all right if we take some of your sand art to the shopping mall, the Dayton Mall it was? They're having a craft show, and the promoter asked me if I would take a booth. I said, sure. So I did, and he took it, and then maybe like Thursday or Friday, I got the time to go in and go to the mall where this guy had a booth. And he said, Ken, your stuff is selling really well. I said, oh, that's nice. And he said, the promoter would like to talk to you. So he got a hold of the promoter, and the promoter comes to me and he said, Ken, would you be interested in traveling with us? He said, every week we go to a different location in a shopping mall and different cities. And he says, I think your stuff would go really well. He said, I've never seen it before. And stuff like that does well. I said, well, I don't know. And he said, look, how about if the next time we do a show here, you come, you see what it's like. I said, okay. So maybe months later, I get a call, and it's the promoter. And he says, Ken, I'm the promoter. I'm at the Dayton Mall. He said, and we have a show here, and somebody didn't show up. He said, it started today, but if you could put a booth in tomorrow and set up. I said, well, I don't have, what do I need? He said, well, you need, you need some sort of display. So I said, okay, I'll do it. So I brought the doctor's picnic table in, and he had two benches. So one bench was on the ground, and one bench was on the picnic table. So I had three shelves, and I put the sand art out. People were admiring it, but they were looking at it. They liked it. But it was earlier in the week. But that day, the guy who was helping me, his name was Dave, but I used to call him Dingus. Everybody, that was his nickname, Dingus. And Dingus comes back from the bathroom and he says, Ken, there's a booth up the way. You couldn't believe the crowd. I said, what is it? Excuse me. He says, I'm not sure. There's so many people there. I said, just stay here. And I went down and I pushed myself through the crowd. And what it was these guys were carving candles. They dip it in hot wax, and then they hang it up, and they use a paring knife, and they start twirling it, and they create all kinds of designs. And they were very successful. I come back to my booth, and I say to Dingus, tomorrow we bring in the sand. And he said, Ken, they'll steal the idea from us. And I said, Dingus, this wasn't our idea anyway, so what do we care? I said, we've created a skill. And I said, if they want to put the hours in, I don't care. I said, this is just temporary anyway until maybe we find something else. Who knows, I don't mind. Let's just do it. And we did. We brought the sand in, and people started coming around watching us do it. And by the end of the week, we sold $1,000 worth of sand art. That was a lot of money back then. And so I said to the promoter, so you do this every week? And he said, yeah, I do it every week. And I said, well, where's the next one? He said, well, we're going up to Cleveland, but we're going to be in Indianapolis in 2 weeks. If you could get it together, I recommend going there, and then we can, you can go from there. I said, well, what do you need? He said, most people have a truck and a trailer they can live in or stay in. And I said, okay, and I did. I had a 51 Chevy pickup, and already. So Dingus built a box for the truck. And we painted a rainbow on one side, we painted a sunrise on the other. And then as I was driving, I saw a trailer for sale at this farm. And I pulled in, and the trailer was 12 foot long, and it was called a Trotwood trailer. 1940 it was built in. And I knocked on the door of the farmer, and this woman came out, and I went and looked at it. It was on the side of a hill, this trailer. And one side was sort of sunk into the dirt, into the mud a little, and the other, so it wasn't straight, you know, it was and so I was a little suspicious. I remember the price. It was $235. And I said to the lady, I said, "Does it work?" Because I was very suspicious. And she looks at me like I'm an idiot. And she says, "Pulls right along." So I didn't want to pay full price. So I said, because I didn't want to be a fool, I said, "I'll give you $225. And she said, "Okay." So there I was going down with this 51 Chevy pickup, this little bullet of a trailer, wood, 1940. And I went down the road like this. That thing didn't go straight no matter what. It was like swinging. I'd get stopped by the police once a day, you know, and I would look at them and say, "Look, this is just the way," and they'd go, "Okay," and it was legal. Like, it only had one back light because it was a farm truck, and that was legal because that's how it was built. But that truck and trailer took me all over the country. And as I got better doing my sand art, my vehicles started getting better. And it took me all over the United States, mostly from like the Missouri River, furthest west, north and south, all the way to Florida. And I was very successful. I was one of a kind. We learned to entertain the people watching us. Like, I would buy magic tricks. One of the magic tricks was fantastic. It was this tube that I could take the bottle and put it in it and say the magic words, and when I lift the tube up, the bottle would disappear. And when I'd take it back, it'd be in there. And I'd let them see that, you know, the tube had no bottom, nothing like that. And what it was not to tell magic tricks, but what it was is when you lifted the tube, there was a tube that was clear. And what people didn't know, that there was an inner tube, clear, with a bottom. So you look like this, you're looking through the tube, and you put it back on, you put the bottle in there, and when you lift up the metal outer bottle, a tube that you can't see through, you're holding the inner plastic tube with your finger, and you're lifting up, and all that's left is the clear thing. So where is it, right? And then you don't wait like 2 minutes for people to think. You say the magic words again, and you put it back down, and blah, 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 blah. Lift it up, and there's the bottle. So little things like that was fascinating. Like, also, I had a fake thumb. So I'd put the in the pocket and talk to people. And then you could smoke in the mall. So you'd have people smoking cigarettes, watching me. I'd go, "You want me to make that cigarette disappear?" They go, "What?" I said, "Yeah." And I'd take their own shirt, and I'd take their shirt, and I'd put my hand, and I'd make a hole in their shirt, leaving the fake thumb in the hole, right? And I'd take the cigarette, and I'd force it down into into the hole like that, right, forcing it deep. And then I'd go, wah! And the thumb would be facing them like this. They wouldn't know that it's fake. You know, all they'd see is a shirt, no burn, no cigarette. While they were talking, or amazed, I would take the thumb and put it in my pocket or hide it, and I'd entertain them. At the same time, I got better and better at the sand art.